So I want to speak about the existential foundation of exam stress. Now, one or two of you are thinking, what's this got to do with the gospel? And most of you are probably thinking, I've been holed up in my study room for the last 7 days. It's the first time I've seen daylight in all that time, and I haven't come to Mass to hear about exams. Well, just bear with me. Why do we get stressed about exams and deadlines? And I'm allowed to say we, because I've done my fair share of exams in my time as well. But why? Why the stress? Well, there's lots of reasons. There's the sheer grind, the hard work, the lack of sleep, etc. There's the how much our future depends on it. There's the fear of failure. There's the peer pressure. Everyone else is going mad with stress, so we feel obliged to keep up with them. All of this is true, but I think there's a deeper reason for this kind of anxiety, and it's not actually just for students doing exams. It's an underlying pressure that we don't often put into words to live up to something, to become someone. If I get this grade, this qualification, then I will become this person. And I'm not sure if I can do this. I'm not sure maybe if I actually want to do this. And regardless of whether I can or I can't, it makes me doubt my own identity, my own being, my sense of worth today, now. That's why I call it existential. And I'm using the word in all seriousness. Who am I? What's my life, my identity? What am I worth today, knowing I've got this massive exam or assignment coming up in a week or a month? On Wednesday, I stayed with some old friends, and they kicked my godson out of his room so I could have a bed for the night. And in his room, apart from all the Manchester United posters, which meant I couldn't sleep very much, in his room, like lots of young children, there was a height chart on the wall. Did you have one of these? A chart with the heights marked centimetre by centimetre, and you put a little pencil line where your present height is. Maybe you do this every month or every 3 months. But this was one of those charts that you buy from a shop, and for every centimetre on the height chart, it had the name of a different famous person who had reached that height. So my godson in year 7, about this high, I don't know how big that is, shorter than me, he had passed the height of R2-D2 and Yoda, but the massive pressure on him to grow taller, quicker, so that he can aspire to be like all these other named famous people on the height chart above him. Do you feel the pressure? Now, there was an excitement in this. He longed to be taller so he could play forward in the rugby team. But the pressure to grow taller, to be bigger, to pass exams, the existential anxiety pinned up on the wall in front of him. But what is the real, deepest source of our identity? That's the question I'm getting at. It's the fact that we are children of God. As St. John says in the second reading, think of the love that the Father has lavished on us by letting us be called God's children. And that is what we are. To be a child of God. You, God's son, God's daughter. That this isn't something you have to achieve by your own efforts. You can't. It's who you are in your very being, an identity, a gift that can never be taken away from you. It was given like a seed when you were created in your mother's womb. And it was renewed in a far, far deeper sense when you were reborn in the waters of baptism. Now look, it's true, there's lots of growing to do still as a Christian. You're not a saint yet. Well, not many of you as I look around this congregation. There is a journey from the rebirth in baptism to the birth into eternal life that we hope will be ours at death. So it's not to say it's all over. We're not passive, we're not complacent. But all of the growing in holiness that you can do is on the foundation of this fundamental identity you have as a child of God. Nothing can take that away from us. And that you're not just a child, one of many. You're a child with a name. Do you notice that in the Gospel reading, what makes Jesus the Good Shepherd is not just that he lays down his life for his sheep in the plural, it's that he knows each one by name. I am the Good Shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. Jesus knows your name. You know his name. He calls you by name, and you call him by name. We forget what a gift this is, that it's at the very heart of our faith. His name for us and our name for him. How often he calls people by name in the Gospels. I'm sure you can think of some examples. In Jericho, Zacchaeus, come down, I must stay at your home today. Zacchaeus. By the Sea of Galilee, Simon, son of John, do you love me? By the empty tomb, just one word, Jesus said to her, Mary. Thinking of names, my sister is having a baby very soon, next week we hope. And it's raised lots of interesting questions about names. First of all, because they found out that he's a boy through the scan 3 months ago. So back then, they named him Thomas. So I've been praying for little Thomas for the last 3 months. And one of my friends, when I told her this, was really surprised by this, a little bit unsettled. You've named the baby before he's born, but why not? He's a baby boy. He's a human being, fully alive in his own way. He just happens to be in the womb still. So they named him Thomas. But on top of this, since then, I've been talking to the Chinese students who come to Mass here at Newman House, some of you in the congregation, getting advice about what his Chinese name should be. Because he's a quarter Chinese, from the Wang family lineage. So eventually, when my sister and brother-in-law do decide, my nephew will have a family name, Fig, a Chinese generational name, which is Dao, which applies to all the male brothers and cousins in the extended family. He will have a Chinese personal name, to be decided. Not by me, by my sister and brother-in-law. And he has already, but he will have even more clearly at his baptism, a Christian name, Thomas. Now, why do I say all this? Because when you hear the great string of names that this little baby's going to have, do you see the extra significance that it gives to the Christian name? Just like So Yun sitting here in the congregation, when she was baptised at the Easter Vigil, took the extra Christian name of Sophia. For little Thomas, Thomas is not just another name in a long list. It's his baptismal name, soon, we hope, And your baptismal name is so significant for you. It's the name that Christ uses to call you. It's the name of your fundamental identity as a child of God when you came out of the baptismal waters that can never, ever be taken away from you. This is the key thing I'm trying to say. Your name, your identity as a child of God can never be taken away from you. What is your name? I'd like you to stand up one by one. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you. And shout out your baptismal name. This is my name. Your name is not pass or fail. Your name is not 63.5%. It's not high 2-1 or low 2-2. It's not BSc or MA or PhD. These names, these titles, they come and go. I'm not saying they're unimportant or irrelevant, but they're not fundamental. What matters ultimately is not your CV, your curriculum vitae, but your CS, your Christian story. Your Christian story. The name you're given at baptism and the new name you will be given in the future as a sheer gift by Christ. This is something we don't think about very often. But as he promises in the book of Revelation, I quote, "To the one who conquers, I will give a white stone with a new name written on the stone, that no one knows except the one who receives it." So look, I'm not telling you to stop revising or to walk out of university at this 11th hour because you've discovered your true Christian identity as a child of God. Yeah? Some of you might be tempted to do that, but just take it from me, don't do that mistake. But I do hope that over these next few weeks of revision and exam stress, you will have an underlying peace and prayerfulness. It's possible. It's not just about trusting God that he will help you in the future and help you through your exams and assignments. Undoubtedly he will. But more than that, it's about trusting that he knows and loves you now. He calls you by name now. He holds you now. And this absolute security gives you the confidence to do the best you can at each moment. Yes, with the normal human worries, but without a deep existential anxiety. Knowing that through your own efforts and through God's loving providence, he will lead you to where you are meant to be because he loves the person you are now.